Hi, thank you all for coming. So, my name is Mark. Quincy will be doing the keynote speech first. Quincy will start off with a little bit of what he has prepared for us, and then I'll try to explain some of the mostly frequently asked questions that people ask me regarding the Korean market. So, Quincy, fire away.
Hi, my name's Quincy Kim. I'm a promoter and I represent Mixmag for Korea as well. I've been in the business for around 8-9 years, and I mean, it's nothing glamorous to speak about a keynote speech or whatnot, but just to give you a brief summarization about the Korean market and or the Korean culture of how music business in general is evolving, I think we have to start off, of course, with BTS. I believe everybody knows the name by now. It created a massive phenomenon all across the globe. And it suddenly put Korea back in the radar of the huge music business that we have globally. Apart from BTS though, we do have other great acts such as Peggy Goo, Yeji, the Sing Sing Band, and all these artists in general are doing very well globally. But the Asian market itself, it's very strange because most of the Western artists or management or agencies look at Japan as the stepping stone to penetrate the Asian market. But it's really the contrary because of the sad history we have through wars and decisive moments where other countries wouldn't accept the Japanese culture the way that the West thinks. Because, it would be something like promoting German music with a swastika in France and trying to influence other neighboring countries in Europe. Whereas in Asia, of course, the history with Japan and all the neighboring countries isn't really a happy one at all. So I think that's the first mistake that everybody's taking. But for South Korea, it's very special because Korea has been invaded the most times in world history, okay? And it still stayed independent as Korea even to this day. And how we could do that was to absorb a lot from the conquerors or the colonizers of the country, but we still stayed as Koreans because we were able to adapt to all those difficult environments. Whether it was through war or colonization, we stayed independent till the end, but by absorbing stuff like a sponge. And we could see it amongst ourselves that we like to absorb things very quickly and squeeze it out very quickly as well. So trends will be changing every like 3-4 months. People will be craving one thing and then 3-4 months later they'd be craving other things. But again, it's because of how Koreans were a peaceful nation that we've never invaded a foreign country before, but we've been invaded 900 somewhat times recorded by world history. And so because of this, we Koreans and the Korean music market could penetrate a lot of the Southeast Asian countries, and of course including China as well. And through this, we see a lot of K-pop bands touring globally. And I think the West should definitely concentrate on the Korean market because Koreans, it's much easier for Koreans to penetrate these markets than it is for Japanese or Chinese music businesses to market themselves and penetrate other markets, right? And through a lot of Western magazines or events such as Mixmag or Boiler Room that have all done successful promotions in South Korea, it is growing larger and larger, but the bedroom producers as well, very talented producers exist in South Korea, but it lacks the whole business structure in Korea. It lacks a great deal in the business education side. We'd have very good producers amongst ourselves, but we wouldn't have the literal businessman, the music businessman, that could actually produce an album for these producers. And the educated businessmen in the music industry are mostly parts of major agencies such as SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, JYP, and what Korean corporates like to do, such as these agencies, is a monopolization of whatever they can get their hands on. So it would be a one-stop shop for all these companies. And for the West, when you compare it from Korea, you'd have a different PR agent, you'd have a management agency, you'd have a booking agency, you'd have a touring manager. But all of this is done in the K-pop world as a one-stop shop. And it has its ups and downs because it's a one-stop shop. A lot of talented folks would be waiting in line to be spotlighted, but then they'd end up working at a 7-Eleven. Or they might make it, they might be lucky enough to make it, such as artists such as Suni, who is also at ADE at the moment. But yes, I mean, they are bred to become stars, and if they don't make it, it's tough luck, I guess. But we come from a country with 52 million people, around half of them living in Seoul, and it's a very dense city to live in, and we have talents just uprising, coming on an everyday basis, I think, right? And yeah, I think we should, get into the talk. Yeah.
Just before we go over to the FAQs that I prepared for, if anyone has a question for Quincy on what he's just commented, we can do that first.
Yeah, you guys don't have to be shy. Or any random question is okay, before we get into the slides.
For instance?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because obviously half the population live in Seoul, and then Busan is the next kind of big hub, especially for tourism. Is there much of a market, especially like dance music and club culture, outside of those two cities? And obviously still number one. 15 million people or so from the rest of the country.
I might be, it's actually one of the most frequently asked questions. I will be explaining more about that, but in a gist, out of those 51, 52 million people, of course, around 20 million live in Seoul, and the 2030s are the most EDM consuming demographic, but we can only tap into the 1%. So if we actually see the numbers of participants or people coming to the festivals and clubs, it's not even 1% of the whole population that we target. So
is that just an aging population, or is that just the 2030s? That's only 1% of them are interested.
Only 1% of the 20s and 30s. So we have a really big market. It has potential, but we have to do something to tap into it to make it into an even more bigger market. So
that was going to be my second question. I was just in Korea in December. Culturally, it's very not into it's very not into things like that. The drug culture stuff is there because of dance music associated with that. Is that why it's kind of hard for it to permeate really into society and stuff like that? Is that one of the aspects of it? Just culturally, it's too much of a difference in terms of like club culture from Europe or America. Is that why we're really struggling to go past that 1%?
I mean, this might take forever, but I'm going to try to fasten it up, summarize it as best that I can. A lot of my friends that aren't in the music industry tell me, why are you trying to sell meat to vegetarians? Vegetarians being around 90% of the population listening to K-pop, right? The demographics of that. Now, people in the West, it might be simple for you guys just to categorize like dance music in general is this, hip hop is this, by genre or whatnot. But K-pop doesn't really evolve that way. K-pop itself, it's a mixture of dance, mixture of hip-hop, mixture of hip-hop itself, and rock, and everything is just all combined into this genre. And we can't really say that a certain population listens to dance music, right? But you have to understand that from our parents' generation, the Korean War ended in 1953, and we're merely in a city where it's 65 years old. So the culture of actually knowing to enjoy themselves is kind of new in Korea. Because my parents' generation, yeah, it was lucky for them to have 2 meals a day, and this was like 1960s, right? We were poorer than Somalia. So it's rather new, this culture of enjoying ourselves and spreading love amongst ourselves. Because I never heard a "I love you" from my father since like forever. Actually, I don't think I've heard it ever. But that's the culture that we've lived in. But now we see a whole new breed of generation, generation that have gone abroad to study, are coming back, and they're also adapting to the Korean culture as well. But what's happening is that these newly adapted or newly formed generations are building up a new, totally new scene compared to what it was 10 years ago. So it's the evolving stage of Seoul is so rapid compared to other countries that it's really about coping and managing with the trends.
Yeah.
Exactly, which we could see economically as well in South Korea. Right.
And also from a more musical point of view, Korea is still very much K-pop dominated. So the dance music, the title itself is very new. When we had the music being aired on TV, everyone just didn't really know what to make of it. And now they know it as just like, now they only know like big room style as typical dance music. So it's a bit of a challenge for us, but also Quincy's doing a lot to kind of help this issue. So that's why maybe we don't really see that many people coming to the clubs or the festivals, and we only see very small people who understand the music itself. But I think it would be actually best if we move on, and then it actually covers a lot of what we're going to ask. If we can actually move on to the next slide, please. I'm just going to bore you with numbers and a lot of hard facts. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so as we discussed, we have 52 million people living in Seoul, living in Korea, almost half of them living in Seoul, and the demographics, you see all this. The fun fact is, when asked how many people, when you ask people, how often do you listen to dance music, they say, well, 74% say, oh, I listen to dance music, quite often. That's more than, once a day. It's like when you're commuting, we have like half an hour to maybe 2 hours of commute in Seoul. When they're commuting, they just put their headphones on and then they listen to dance music. So that's a really interesting fact, but we don't see that people, coming to the shows that we present. So it is something that we need to work on. And then we can move on to the next one. So you've probably heard of these venues. Octagon is the top 10 club of DJ Mag Top 100 clubs. I'm sure most of you might know. Arena, I don't want to go into details, but it is the local hotspot for pickups. Not too proud of that. We have Burning Sun, which is a new venue from Simli. He's the investor for that. So it is the most visited club by the Chinese. We also have Faust Soap and Cake Shop, which is located in the Itaewon area, more the expat global kind of town. So if you're interested in tapping into these clubs, then we'll have the delegates from these clubs joining us later on in the panels. We'll quickly go over to the next one. So we'll talk more about the events that we're having. The biggest events, of course, being World DJ Festival, Ultra Korea, and recently the second edition hosted by Korea's World Club Dome. But also we can speak more about Breezeway, which is Quincy's events, and then Spectrum Dance Festival, backed by a major K-pop company, and so on. I think the next slide is going to be much more interesting to you guys. So these are the apps. These are the streaming apps that are available in Korea. You don't see Spotify here because Spotify doesn't really allow the service in Korea. We have Melon, which is It's more than 10, 15-year-old now. So it actually dominates the market with the streaming. They have a real-time streaming chart. So people who are not really interested in the music, they can just go online, listen to the charts, and that's all they do. So if you can tap into the streaming charts, then your music will be heard. If not, then no one will probably find out that you have had a release. So this is the problem that we have. Korea is more of a secluded market when it comes to dance music. We don't have Spotify, we don't have the usual English-speaking population who are more accustomed to dance music. And you see all these local brands streaming music. And it's very difficult to find dance music on these platforms.
Do most distributors, major distributors in the West, do they are they releasing through those platforms, or at least
the ones that I know,
not the majors, but the most dance, labels and stuff, independent dance labels, do their distributors go?
So if you're either signed to, well, if you have the distributors with Sony, Warner Music, then you might be on this. If not, then it's really hard to find your music on these streams.
So basically, what this slide shows is that Melon controls South Korean music. Melon controls everything in South Korean music. If you have an artist and if you have tracks in Spotify, you're not going to get any data coming back to you from Korea. And hence, when I book artists, it's like with management and agents, it's like, no, we don't see any traffic at all coming from Korea. But in reality, there are people that are listening to their tunes, not through the usual Spotify's or SoundClouds, but through Melon. Now, it's an interesting thing because Melon is actually owned by Kakao. Okay, Kakao does music, and Kakao does also something similar to an Uber service, and it's the equivalent of the Korean WhatsApp or the WeChat of China, right? They do banking as well, and it's owned by an equivalent of, let's say, a search engine such as Yahoo in Korea. So Koreans use Naver, which will be an equivalent to Google, and Town, which would be an equivalent to Yahoo. And you can see corporates such as these controlling the music market as well. So it's very easy for them to promote K-pop in a sense, because they can control the market in the manner that they please. And so through this, we see a lot of producers producing music, ghost producing for K-pop artists, instead of them full-fledged promoting themselves, because it's a lot easier to have that stepping stone to penetrate the market.
I think we have about 2 minutes left. If you have just one more question, then please.
In terms of the formats that people are releasing on, is it all digital? When you're talking about the bedroom producers, for example, or do people are they pressing blanks and vinyl? Do people press to vinyl CD?
Pressing vinyls is very rare in South Korea. It's going to be all digital. It's just like asking a question if I'm going to run a magazine and if I'm going to do printouts. It's gotten to that point because internet speed in Korea is just crazy. I mean, you could download 4 movies from the airport to your hotel. So, I mean, everything's done so quickly in South Korea regarding these digital sales or whatnot. But it's really extremely hard to find CDs and vinyls being sold unless you have, groupie fans, such as, a lot of K-pop fans that are in their teenage years. They'd be buying like 10 physical albums just for, BTS.
It might be more of a memorabilia.
Yeah.
They don't really use vinyl. Last question, and then.
Yeah. To what degree are the big companies like YG and SM looking for influence, like new styles and genres within Korea versus, outside of Korea, the West?
What I know is SM, YG, JYP, they hire a lot of producers overseas. They host something like, they call it song camps. So over a week, they hire a lot of producers, and then they put them into a studio, 24/7, the whole week, and then they kind of milk it out from them. So you get like 50 to maybe 100 tracks. And then after 2 years, you finally see that one of those tracks being released. Also, we have Korean-bred producers as well, but it's what Korean entertainment companies are doing right now is they're trying to adopt dance music, put some kind of an element into K-pop, and then trying to see if they can actually reach out to international market. So BTS, I mean, they've had huge success. It's all due to their head honcho being a really famous producer in Korea, and he's actually being ahead of the game by adopting these kind of sound elements and then putting it into BTS tracks. So we'll see more of that. But for now, I think we have to move on to the next panel. Just a short break, and please, everyone, if you can stay tuned. We'll look forward to seeing you more in the next few hours. Thanks.
Thank you.